Good morning, Brandon. How are you doing today?
Hey, Errol, good morning. I'm great, man. How about you?
Absolutely excited to talk with you because there's one thing that I am picking up on every one of your episodes of this podcast is that you're saying there is culture in this country, that there are several different layers and levels, and we can all learn from them. We are not the same people. And I just love the way that you go into those cracks saying, hey, let's talk about it.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I think one of the things that people don't always remember is, just the country, America in general, our biggest export is pop culture.
Yep.
Pop culture travels very well. You can see the influences of America all around the country. And then in Atlanta specifically, we kind of say our biggest export down here is culture as well. We have this saying that Atlanta kind of influences everything. And, when you look around, you just see all these different moments where, whether it's music or sports or TV, like there's just something down here that's brewing that just inspires people all over the world. And so for us, that's what kind of Butternomics is about, is it's finding those pockets of interesting culture, but also people that are like using business to build things at that intersection and showcasing them on a national stage, because we feel like there's a lot of hidden gems down here in Atlanta.
Yep. Oh, we watch Atlanta. I'm up here in Charlotte. I mean, you're our evil twin sister down there in Atlanta, and you can keep Spaghetti Junction all you want. We don't need that up here.
No, you know what? We love it so much. We're building another one down here. Get ready. I was stuck on Spaghetti Junction last night, and that's one thing about Atlanta, man. You never know. I was on my way home last night at about 10 o'clock. And I ran into gridlock stop traffic. I thought I was back in LA for a second. So you don't want any parts of that.
The way that you get into your conversations, I would love to know how you show prep, because you do it so naturally, especially your conversation with Jay Carter. I realize you guys have known each other for a long time, but the idea of a podcast was brand new for you at that point in time, and you just went through it so smoothly, talking about, how he wasn't interested in going for the big names necessarily. He just wanted to have a successful festival.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, part of that obviously is a relationship. I've known Jay for, 15, almost 20 years. And that's one of the beautiful things about Atlanta is a lot of us, we all have kind of met each other and known each other just over the years organically. I actually, when in a previous life, I actually helped him do the marketing for his very first One Music Fest. And so it's just been an amazing, thing to kind of watch, how that's grown into this, huge, cultural moment. But yeah, man, a big thing with me with just, show prep and just getting ready is, I'm going to tell you a little secret, Errol. I always wanted to work in, radio and broadcasting. And so for me, I'm really appreciating these opportunities to tell these stories. Mm-hmm. I really try to kind of dig in and go a little bit deeper than the whole, so how'd you start and what inspired you? Because I know for a lot of these people too, they're not really in the beginning stages. They're kind of at the advanced stages of what they're trying to build. And those stories don't always get told. We talk a lot about when people want to start something or how they raise money or, how they got the idea, but nobody talks about kind of that messy middle of business when you're kind of in years, 3, 5, 10, and you're kind of, things are going well, but it's not as sexy as it was in the beginning when you were launching. And so that's kind of the idea behind Butternomics, is to kind of bring out some of those stories to give people some, tactical kind of advice and really kind of give them something they can take away and hopefully apply to when they start reaching that level as well.
You must be reading my notes, because one of my questions for you was, you are a solid backstage pass to the authentic world of making connections beyond the first step.
Yeah, I think for me, I kind of look at that, and I like how you wrote that. I'm going to have to use that, a solid backstage pass. I like that. And for me, I've run businesses before. I've been on kind of all sides. I've been an entrepreneur that's run brands. I've been on the corporate side as an executive. And so I've kind of seen it at multiple different levels, and I'm able to kind of, dance in between both of those things and have those conversations. And so again, on Butternomics, we're going to bring on not just entrepreneurs, but there are a lot of amazing people that are working in the corporate space that are doing things and building things and making a difference. And I want to kind of showcase that as well, because it's not just about, building something from scratch, sometimes, because entrepreneurship is not for everybody. And there are a lot of amazing people that are inside, companies and organizations that are also making a difference and also making an impact in culture. And I want to showcase all those people, but, using my experience and my background, I want to kind of bring out some of those hidden nuggets and gems that sometimes get missed over. One of the things I kind of talked about with the people on the show is, look, I'm sure you've done a million interviews before. And I'm sure you've told the story of how you've gotten started over and over and over again. I always ask them, what do you want to tell? Like, what story have you not gotten an opportunity? What are some of your greatest hits that you've never gotten out there? And that just makes them light up, because they get to talk about something that's new and important to them. And it's always just an amazing conversation.
See, my favorite part is when they talk about when it's time to step to the edge of that cliff and step off, to break free of the corporate life and to build their own brand. That's where I find inspiration.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people find that too, because a lot of people feel that same way. And I mean, I'm telling you, man, it's scary.
Yeah.
Like, a lot of people don't fully realize, what it's like to go out there and really have to be 100% responsible for, making it work out. And then even more beyond that, when you do get success and all of a sudden now you start having employees and people that also depend on you for their livelihood, like, nobody talks about those stories. Nobody talks about, what business owners go through, when, again, they have a team that they're also responsible for, and it's not just them and them trying to kind of hustle along. And so, that's an amazing, I always say, it's kind of like, standing on that cliff. There's a great book by Seth Godin called The Dip. And he kind of talks about this idea that in the beginning of it, yeah, you're kind of on this cliff, kind of looking over this valley. And while you're on that cliff, everybody's celebrating you. You always say, think about when you get ready to graduate high school, or you get ready to start a new business. You have all these people saying, oh, that's so amazing. I'm so proud of you. And then you have to step off. Yeah. And now you're in that valley. Now you got to do the work every single day. And it's not always sexy. It's not always cool. And nobody sees that work. But you know what? On the other side of that valley is what are your goals and your dreams and what you want to accomplish. And the only way to get there is to kind of go through that middle. And so, part of Butternomics is identifying that a lot of these people are in that space. Again, they've launched their business, 5, 10, years ago. And, they're well beyond the I have an idea phase. Yeah. Now they're in the, okay, how do I go from this level to the next level phase? And I think that's, again, are stories that people really need to hear more of so they can kind of understand what to expect and also learn from it. And so maybe they, either avoid that situation themselves, or they're able to, deal with it a little bit differently when they have a similar thing come up in their life.
When it comes to worth, one of the things that I found very inspiring on your podcast was the fact that you talked about those moments where you don't feel worthy. And those are very big teaching moments, because we all go through that. We're going, oh, I made a mistake. I feel bad today. And it doesn't matter what the success is. If you go by the numbers, you die by the numbers. But you really do put focus on that moment of silence.
Yeah, man, look, one thing I've learned over my career, and I'm going to tell everybody that's listening, this is the truth. A lot of people are just making it up as they go along. Yep. Some people do a better job of others than hiding it. But I think, when people start to realize that more, that whole idea of imposter syndrome is really just, your mind playing tricks on you. You have to really believe that you're worthy. You have to really believe that, you can accomplish these things and that anything is possible. That's the beauty of where we're at right now, even from a time just in history. In the past, if you wanted to start a business, you were kind of, relegated to just your local area.
Yep.
It was really hard to kind of make it, national or global. And now, because of the internet and social media, not only can you build a global business, but you can build a global team. The best people might not necessarily be in your local area. And so the internet and social media allows you to go out there and find, who's the best graphic designer in the world that I can afford to work with, that might want to, believes in what I can do. And so that's why, again, it's so important to just kind of believe in what you're doing. I always say you have to pay attention to the present with intention for the future.
Oh, my God.
That's what it's really about.
You are speaking my street when you say that, dude, man. It is about the right now and what is my intention today. Who am I going to reach and how am I going to get there?
Yeah, I mean, you do it step by step. You can only kind of connect the dots when you look backwards. But again, it's just taking those steps. It's taking those step by steps, man, one at a time. And suddenly, all of a sudden, when you look back, it all makes sense. It doesn't always make sense when you're trying to look forward at it. But again, that's why I said you can only pay attention to the steps that's in front of you, and you can know what you want to accomplish. There's this great quote by Jeff Bezos that says, "Be stubborn with your vision, but be flexible on the details." And I'm a big believer in that.
That's the very reason why I do a thing called a defrag journal, in the way that I will sit there and ask myself the questions and then question the answers, because I need to be in the presence of now. What is my plan? What is my purpose? What are the steps am I going to take? Don't try to predict the story, live the story.
Yeah, absolutely. And, you got to go back and kind of break that down. Again, man, overthinking and just stress, it's so easy to overcomplicate things. And, I always kind of ask myself, what would it look like if this were easy? Because we can make things hard and complex really quickly. But I force myself, I force my team to say, you know what? We can't boil the ocean. We can't do everything. We can't be all things to all people. But what would it look like if this were simple? And a lot of times the simple solution is more than enough. And even better, it's a lot less stressful.
Melissa Mitchell, she is one of a billion, but yet she had the guts to look beyond that 9-to-5 job while others are trapped. I believe that this one right here, this episode, is going to change other people's lives.
Yeah, that's my hope. Melissa's been a great friend. I've seen and watched her kind of build her, her career and what she's been doing. I knew her when she used to work at Coca-Cola in corporate. Yeah. And again, just to see somebody, she was making good money. She had a very safe career at a great company, but she knew she wanted a little bit more. And it's just so interesting because what she was doing at Coke is so far away from what she's doing now. And she felt like she always kind of had that in her. And so again, it just takes people that you need to have those guts if you're willing to do it. I tell people all the time, entrepreneurship is not for everybody. Yeah. I think there are a lot of people out there that are a lot more stressed out because they're trying to run something when they might be better as a number 2 or a number 3 or a number 4 in an organization. But if you really feel like you have it in you and you really feel like there's something more out there, I tell people all the time, like, why not go for it? You can always go back. You can always go find something else to do. But what I don't want to do, when later on in life, is kind of look back with a bunch of regrets. And so I just love Melissa and her story because, she did it and, things kind of just started happening. All of a sudden, she was just doing the work and then an opportunity with, Sarah Blakely with Spanx opened up and then she's doing TV commercials. Yep. And, now she's got a whole line with Shein. And so these things just happen because she had the guts to say, you know what, I want something more for my life. And, again, looking back on it, I'm sure it all makes sense now. But I'm sure, like she had to say, she had to kind of figure it out going along. And that's what faith is all about.
Mm-hmm. One of the things that you embrace tightly is the fact that you don't have to have a huge team. Although Jay Carter has to have it during the festival season. But really, his team is what, 7 or 8 people? But then it's got to swell to several, 100 more.
Yeah, absolutely. Again, I think people, business is unique and it's really all about creativity and problem solving. And, there's no one size fits all formula. And for the, Jay and the team at One Music Fest, they do an amazing event every year. Again, they bring out hundreds of thousands of people in Atlanta and now in Dallas, and they got other things going on. And you would think that they have a massive team just around all year, but they don't. When they're not doing the event, they scale down to just the core people that they kind of need. But then, like you said, he brings in, hundreds of volunteers and hundreds of part-time workers just for that event. And they have a real formula over there through, I'm sure, trial and error and lots of, bumping their head along the way to where now they've kind of created this system and process. And that's the thing, man, people fail, but systems don't. And when you really kind of start to figure out what that system is for your business, or that system is for your idea, 1, it makes it a whole lot easier. But 2, it takes a whole lot of stress off. Jay tells a story in that podcast about in the early days, he was trying to do it all and holding on to everything himself. And that's a common thing I hear about with entrepreneurs is they want to do everything themselves because they have. But there's nothing more better than having a team. One of the things I ask people is, would you be okay if somebody could do something 70 or 80% as well as you could do it? That last 20% might be your secret sauce that only you can do. But if I could get somebody that could do something 70 or 80% as well as I could do it, I'm confident and confident enough to say, you know what, that's good, that works. Man, the amount of stress and the amount of stuff that takes off my plate is amazing. And I think that's one of those things that a lot of entrepreneurs have to learn over time is I need a team because I can't do everything myself. Yeah. And so, Jay has learned that lesson, but it's a lesson, again, that I've actually have started to notice, too, that a lot of the people that we talk about kind of that same challenge of kind of being in this space of, the idea is working, the business is working. Now what's important to me is consistently finding the right people to put on the field to make sure that this thing goes right. So I don't think a lot of people understand how important a team is once you get kind of outside the starting gate.
Yeah. I want listeners to understand that this isn't just about, those that have had success or struggled through success. They themselves can become leaders in their own right. And you're very honest and transparent when you say, you know what, when you go to those business meetings, have a voice, speak up, do something, participate, and become a leader.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, they're putting you in that room for a reason. Yes. And I think, sometimes people don't think they have a right to be in there. They don't think that they should speak up. And again, why not? If you have an idea, if you have an opportunity to say something, you never know who's listening. You never know if that idea might, spark something else. Like that's the whole beauty of human interaction and conversations. It's 2 different ideas and 2 different perspectives coming together to make a new thing. And so it's important to not hold on to those things, especially if they're providing value, especially if they're coming from a good place. I tell people all the time, get out there and say what you got to say. Let it be known. Speak your mind. People want you in these rooms for a reason. I have people on my team, and I encourage them to speak up. Look, I don't know everything. I know a lot of stuff, but I don't know everything, and I don't know what I don't know. And it's really important for me as a leader to put people around me that are smarter than me and better than me in other areas, because that's the only way I get better. If I'm the smartest person here and I know how to do everything, it's all going to be hell with me. But if I can find people that are amazing at what they do and bring them and get them to buy into my vision, and also understand what their goals are and help them achieve what they want to achieve, it's not only a win-win situation, but it also helps me get closer to my goal while also helping them get closer to what they want to do.
And it's not always about chasing the dollar. It's about getting the confidence as well as the experience in order to build your platform.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, look, money's important. Trust me. I know every month when I have to pay my power bill, and my bills and stuff, money's important, but it's really not everything. And there's just a level of fulfillment that I think a lot of these people that are on Butternomics, and just people that want to build something in general are looking for. And like I said, one of the hard things is just figuring out, what you want to do. Sometimes people want to turn, a hobby into a full-time gig. And I say, well, maybe that's not the right thing, because would you enjoy it if you did it all day long? Like, I enjoy playing ping pong, but I don't know if I want to be a professional ping pong player. I want to have that moment to kind of get away from things. And so, looking at those things, finding that inspiration, and looking and seeing like how you can specifically kind of create and provide value is a big thing that I think more people need to kind of understand. And again, that's what we're trying to show on Butternomics, is that there's a million ways not to get from point A to point Z, but just from point A to point B. And, we want to just share that with people so they get inspiration, because you never know, somebody listens to that Jay Carter interview, that Melissa Mitchell interview, they might not want to do that exact same thing, but that might inspire them to do something as well. And so you never know where that's going to come from. And hopefully people are hearing that stuff and they're saying, you know what, if they did it, they're a person just like me. And so I know it's possible. Let me go out here and give it my all and try to create something amazing as well.
Well, you know how people are, Brandon. They want things to be a very successful story right now. But Michelle has a story here. She took her time to invest in a unique path.
Yeah, we live very much in kind of a microwave time right now. I think, I was telling my daughter about this a couple of weeks ago, where a lot of times we don't have as much patience because everything is accessible right now. I'm going to tell you, Errol, like when I grew up, if I wanted to watch The Simpsons, I had to wait till it came on. I couldn't go on YouTube. I couldn't go on, the internet and go look up not just The Simpsons, but any episode I wanted at any time. Now, all that stuff is at our fingertips. And so anything we want, any piece of information, any question that we have, any TV show, any song we want to listen to, is all accessible from this thing we call our cell phone.
Yep.
But I don't come from that time. And I think what's happened over years is people have gotten used, and they started applying that to other parts of their life and business. And that's the thing, man, this stuff isn't overnight. One thing I can say from building, even my business is you never know what this thing is going to be. And so it's important to kind of keep going out there and keep going. I always tell this story about if you watch somebody that knows how to juggle, if you really pay attention, don't watch the hand that they throw with, watch the hand that they catch with.
Oh.
Because if the hand that they catch with does not move, that means they're consistently throwing the ball the right way. And I think that just ties back into how you have to approach business. Just be consistent, consistently throw that ball, consistently get out there. And when you do that, man, things start to kind of happen.
Wow. Where can people go to find out more about you, get some love from you, as well as learn more from you? I mean, the podcast is one level, but there is so much about you, Brandon, that we all need to learn.
Absolutely. Well, I would tell everybody, please go look up Butternomics on iHeart, the iHeart app, or anywhere that you stream your podcast. We're on all platforms. And please go check us out and like, follow, and subscribe. As far as myself, you can find us at ButterATL. That's butteratl.com or butter.atl on Instagram. We're all over social media. We're all over the internet. I'm not a hard person to find.
Please come back to this show anytime in the future. The door is always going to be open for you.
Hey, thank you, Errol. I'm going to take you up on that. I hope to talk to you again soon.
Absolutely, sir. You be brilliant, okay?
Thanks. You too.